Welcome to the Wild 7 Studios backlot. In today's episode, we're going to talk about whether you should invest in a cinema camera and why that cinema camera that you're looking at for $10,000 might actually cost you $15,000. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Wild 7 Studios backlot. And if you're new here, welcome. This is your one-stop place for all things indie filmmaking, gear, tutorials, lens tests, vintage lenses. We do it all. I'm Chris, your host. This week's episode is one of my favorite topics, and that's cinema cameras. So if you're new here, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button down below. Really helps us out, bringing you new content, lets us know that people out there are actually watching. But in today's episode, we're going to go over whether or not you should buy a cinema camera. We're going to talk about some of the pros to buying one, some of the cons to buying one, and why they may be a lot more expensive than you think they are. So starting off with the pros, there's a lot of reasons why you might want to buy a cinema camera, but there's a lot of things you're going to want to consider. One of the big pros for us here at Wild 7 Studios is that it does bring in work. We use our cinema cameras professionally. We use them to bring in work, we use them to try to get hired by clients, and we rent them out. We are based right here in the heart of Los Angeles, one of the biggest filmmaking hubs on earth. So our cameras do rent out quite a bit and earn money for us. If you're in a place like the middle of the country where you're not gonna get rentals per se, you may not wanna get a cinema camera. If you're only using it for jobs, you might wanna rent. You may make yourself more appealing if you can be camera agnostic and kind of just use any camera that's needed, you know? We got the Sony FX6 and Sony FX3 here at the studio because we'd worked on a lot of jobs with various different clients and companies, and we noticed that the Sony FX line was really popular amongst a lot of them, and we wanted to get in on that action, so we got some of those cameras, and they were a good investment for us. We also had the client base and the connections beforehand. So it was kind of a safe investment for us as well. It wasn't something that we were just getting the cameras and hoping the work would come to us. It may not. That's a caveat I kind of throw out there because you don't know if those jobs are going to come your way or not. So be mindful of that. These cameras are really expensive. They're big investments. If you don't know whether or not you're going to get work, I would consider not getting the cameras. It's a really risky investment. One of the other big pros for having a cinema camera, especially when you are working with clients, is the ability to monitor, the ability to send out clean signals via SDI. These things really do help the workflow when it's not just you on set, the person behind camera. When you're working with a team, when you're working with producers, when you're working with clients, that stuff really does matter and that's important. Your DSLR, even like the FX3 isn't really a camera I would use with clients per se because it has HDMI and not SDI. SDI is kind of a big deal when you have clients. It's a much safer and cleaner way to monitor the feed and signals for clients so they actually know what they're looking at, what they're going to see, especially when you get into higher frame rates and things like that. It's really important. Clients don't want to have to guess what it's going to look like. They're paying you a lot of money to know exactly what it's going to look like and then it's going to look perfect. You need to kind of deliver that to them. So having the right camera matters. Another thing with the cinema cameras that's a big pro is having time code. If you're shooting narrative or doc work, having time code built into the camera is a big deal. That allows you to sync up the sound and picture in post a lot faster. A lot of editorial teams and post teams actually want this and will require it when you send stuff over, your deliverables. So that's important. I don't know if our FX3 has time code or exactly how to do it. I'm sure it does. I'm sure there's a way to sync something up like a tentacle sync or like a deity time code sync. I just don't know exactly how to do it. On our FX6, there's literally a time code sync section where you can just, whoever's your sound mixer or whatnot, they can just smash time code real quick and get you sunk up. That's a big deal. That's really important. That's more professional than using a clapper or trying to sync sound using scratch audio. I know we can do it, but it's not the most professional. Another big pro you may want to consider when you purchasing or upgrading from your current camera to a cinema camera is the reliability of cinema cameras. if you're shooting documentary work, narrative work, you're doing things where you're working for 8, 10 hours a day, you're not going to want to shoot on a DSLR or even like a small mirrorless camera. They're going to have a lot of overheating problems. They're not built to shoot all day. It's not what they were designed for, whereas a cinema camera was. Back in the day, I used to have a Canon EOS 60D. I really loved that camera. It was a great camera when it first came out. It was part of the DSLR revolution that happened there in the early aughts, or in the late aughts, excuse me. But that thing would overheat. I remember on one shoot we were filming out in the desert out here in Palmdale in July, and I was getting like an hour, and then I have to turn it off and cool it down. An hour, and then turn it off and cool it down. It wasn't meant for it. I was pushing the camera to the limits, and it wasn't great. Slowed our workflow down and made the day a little bit harder. So it's one of the big reasons why you'd want to go with a cinema camera. And not every cinema camera has this, but a lot of them do, especially like our FX6. And it's one of the things I can't go back on, and that's built-in NDs. Internal NDs are a huge deal when shooting. They really help out everything, kind of important. You're going to want to be able to control your exposures and dial things into where you want to dial them in. Internal NDs, they make that amazing. They make that so easy. So it's a big reason why you do that. My FX3 doesn't have internal ND. That's why I don't grab it as much as I grab my FX6. Now that we've gone over some of the reasons why you'd want to get a camera, let's go over some of the reasons why you would not want to buy a cinema camera. So, just how I said before that it might get you work, if you don't have the work potentially and there isn't work available, I wouldn't buy the camera. You know? You're really gambling a lot of money buying a cinema camera if you don't know that you have work lined up. Make sure you're kind of in a safe position, get clients, work on jobs, make people, have connections before you invest that kind of money in something like this. They're really expensive. It's not something you want to buy lightly. One of the other reasons, and I mentioned this in the intro, no cinema camera costs what their price listed is. None of them do. They all cost more. Like I said, a $10,000 cinema camera is easily going to cost you $15,000 when all is said and done. I went on B&H's website a little while ago, and I just wanted to do something, look something up as a test. So I looked up the GFX Eterna 55. This is a large format camera. It's the very first cinema camera from Fuji Films. Really cool camera, really interesting. The starting price for this camera, for the body of the camera, is $16,499. It's a lot of money. It's like half the price of a brand new car. Now, if you want to get the package that comes with one lens, 2 memory cards, and 1 memory card reader, that's going to cost you $23,299, an additional $6,800. That's right. $16,499 does not get you shooting. $23,299 gets you closer to shooting, but you want to know something? Still not enough. You have a camera body, you have lenses, and you have media, but you do not have batteries yet. That's right, no batteries. So these things are really expensive. You need a lot of accessories whenever you buy a camera. So they're money sinks. They really are. I'm still buying stuff for my FX6 and my FX3, and I've had them over 2 years, and I'm still getting new accessories and new things for them, and the stuff isn't cheap. It's quite expensive. So just know that owning a cinema camera is almost like owning a boat. You know, it's a money sink. You're going to just keep putting money into these things, and they're not cheap. I mentioned that with the GFX Eterna that you're going to need a battery to get that thing turned on. That's even at the very minimum. We haven't even talked about a tripod, a rolling case for it, or a carrying case, something that you would actually put the camera in to keep it safe, a cage for the body to keep it safe, a monitor for yourself so you can monitor. If you have clients, they're going to want to see what you're doing, so you're going to need to wirelessly monitor out somehow. All this stuff costs a lot of money. That one lens probably won't be enough for you. You're probably going to need more lenses as well. One lens rarely can do everything, so you're probably going to need to pick up a couple more lenses. So if you get a GFX Eterna, you're really looking at closer to $30,000, $35,000 when all is said and done, not $16,999. You know, it's just it's the way it is in this industry. Things are expensive; they're not cheap. But remember, always bill for your gear. Always charge that extra kit fee and put that in there. Another con might be that you become very camera specific. A friend of mine owned a Red Epic, and I know for a while he was getting hired a lot because of that, and he was shooting with that, and people knew him like, oh, he's the guy with the Red Epic. He kind of got annoyed after a while where he didn't want to always shoot on the Red Epic. He wanted to rent out cameras. So I don't know if he still owns that Red Epic or what, and I know he's been shooting on a lot of other things recently, but for a while there, I know he was kind of annoyed by that. We shoot almost exclusively Sony here. I'm pretty set with Sony. I love Sony. I'm a huge Sony guy. Love them to death. My dream is eventually to upgrade to some other Sony cameras pretty soon. But if we weren't so in love with Sony, I wouldn't mind being open to whatever, shooting on Alexa, shooting on V-Raptors, shooting on these different cameras. There's a lot of cool stuff out there. And if you're a camera nerd like I am, you love to play with these things and they're fun. Another thing is technology changes really fast too. So buying a camera, it's not going to be the cinema camera you're going to have forever, I remember back in the day they talked about Red 1. Red 1, the last cinema camera we'll ever get. And then Red stopped making things for it like a year later. It's how it goes in this industry. Things move fast. It's a business. Everyone's trying to make more money, so they're going to come out with new products, new exciting things, and we're very much monkey see, monkey do in this film industry, and we always love the newest, coolest toy that someone else is playing with, and we want to play with it too. So you may not want to drop $100,000 on a camera package if in a year or two you're going to want a brand new one. And finally, the final con that I would say you wouldn't want to get into is debt. Literally, if you can't afford the camera, don't get the camera. Some people finance their cinema cameras. Could be a bad move if you don't have the jobs, if you don't have the money coming in or the income. Definitely don't do that unless you're in a position where you're going to be safe and get the work. So make smart decisions, especially financial ones. You don't want to screw yourself over for the future. Take baby steps if you have to, pick up little things if you have to, but make sure the work's there, and be aggressive, get those jobs, tell people you want to shoot, be there early, be there on time, be happy for any job you can get, and don't have a bad attitude. People will hire you out. It'll come, trust me. So in the comments down below, do me a favor. I want to see what people I want to see what people's dream cinema camera would be and their cinema setup. I want to know exactly, like, if money was no option, what would you get? For me personally, I would get the Venice 2 with the anamorphic, full frame, all the licenses and the sensors and everything like that. We're talking like $100,000 package right there. Just for the camera. We're not even talking lenses and batteries and that kind of stuff. But that's my dream. I believe they shot Top Gun Maverick and F1 on the Venice 2. Claudio Miranda's amazing. I love the camera, love the sensor, love what you can do with these things. And then for glass, if I could, I love Minolta rockers. I think Minolta rockers are one of the coolest sets of vintage lenses. I would get a set of rehoused Minolta rockers. That would be my dream. That with a Venice. That would make me complete as a person, as a filmmaker. I would be content, as they would say. But yeah, drop what you think is your favorite, your dream setup down below. I want to hear from all of you, hear what it is. And just a little side note, Cine Gear is happening right here in Los Angeles right now. Most of our gear is down there. There's a lot of stuff there. So if you think this episode looks a little bit different than our normal ones, it does. And that is because we are shooting on a Minolta rocker, the Hawkeye specifically, the 58mm f1.2. That's what I'm shooting on today. I'm at f4 right now. You can't really see all the crazy details of the Hawkeye, but I'm gonna have a video coming out pretty soon on the Hawkeye. We restored this lens. I'm really proud of how it came out, and I've used it on a short film recently, directed by April Mendoza, called Scream Queen. We got some really cool shots with it, some awesome stuff. We shot that one on the Sony Burano, also a very cool camera. The people at Sony DMPC hooked us up with that. Awesome people, we love them. Thank you so much. Excited to see them at Cine Gear this week. And yeah, we're gonna have some cool stuff with that coming out soon too. If you follow us on the Wild 7 Studios main channel, we're gonna drop that probably later this summer, and some other short films that we have coming up. But from all of us at the Wild 7 Studios backlot, thank you for joining us again. Do us a favor and subscribe if you haven't already. Always got new content coming up and some great videos coming out in the future. See you next time.